Welcome back to Teknobalta. Today we are diving deep into a high-performance system instability case. We at Teknobalta analyzed a specific report involving an AMD Radeon RX 6800XT paired with a Ryzen 3600X. The issue reported is sudden game crashes and significant FPS drops, specifically in PUBG. This happens on both Windows 10 and Windows 11, even with the latest drivers installed. Let us look at the core components: an RX 6800XT GPU and a 3600X CPU. The power supply is an ASUS Prime 850W Gold, which is more than sufficient. However, we at Teknobalta have identified a massive bottleneck occurring at 1080p resolution. When a powerful GPU like the 6800XT is used at 1080p, the CPU must work extremely hard to keep up. In this case, the Ryzen 3600X is hitting its limit, causing 100% utilization. When the CPU reaches 100%, it cannot process the game's logic and the GPU's frame requests simultaneously. This leads to what we call an engine stall, resulting in an immediate crash to desktop. Step 1 of our solution involves stabilizing the CPU overhead by capping the frame rate. Open your AMD Software Adrenalin edition and navigate to the Gaming tab. Select PUBG from your library to modify its specific profile. Locate the Radeon Chill or Frame Rate Target Control option. Set the maximum FPS to match your monitor's refresh rate, for example, 144 or 165. By capping the FPS, we prevent the CPU from trying to render unnecessary frames, reducing its load. We at Teknobalta also recommend checking the in-game settings of PUBG. Ensure that frame rate limit is set to custom and matches your software cap. Now, let us discuss the resolution paradox for high-end GPS. Playing at 1080p with an RX 6800XT is actually counterproductive for stability. To fix this, we will use VSR or Virtual Super Resolution. Go back to AMD Software, click on Settings, then the Display tab. Enable Virtual Super Resolution. This allows your GPU to render the game at a higher resolution. Now, inside PUBG, change your resolution to 1440p or even 4K. This shifts the processing weight from the CPU to the GPU, balancing the system load. We at Teknobalta have observed that this often eliminates crashes caused by CPU spikes. Next, we must address driver integrity. Use DDU, or Display Driver Uninstaller. Boot into safe mode and wipe all existing AMD drivers to ensure a clean slate. Reinstall the latest recommended WHQL driver from the AMD website. Avoid optional or beta drivers if you are experiencing stability issues. Now, let us optimize the hardware communication via the BIOS. Restart your PC and enter the BIOS menu, usually by pressing Delete or F2. Ensure that resize VAR support and above 4G decoding are enabled. This enables AMD Smart Access Memory, or SAM. SAM allows the CPU to access the entire GPU VRAM buffer, improving data transfer efficiency. For the Ryzen 3600X, ensure that PBO, or Precision Boost Overdrive, is set to auto or enabled. This helps the CPU maintain higher clock speeds during heavy gaming sessions. We at Teknobalta also suggest checking your RAM configuration. Ensure your 16 gigabytes of RAM are running in dual-channel mode and XMP is active. Low RAM frequency can severely bottleneck a Ryzen processor. Within Windows, set your power plan to AMD Ryzen High Performance or Ultimate Performance. This prevents the CPU from downclocking during critical game moments. If you still experience drops, consider disabling full-screen optimizations for the PUBG executable. Right-click the game file, go to Properties, Compatibility, and check the box. Let's review the alternative method, upgrading the CPU. If software fixes are not enough, the 3600X is simply too weak for the 6800XT. We at Teknobalta recommend an upgrade to the Ryzen 5800X3D or the 5700X3D. These processors feature 3D cache, which drastically improves 1% low FPS in games like PUBG. Another potential culprit is the shader cache. In AMD Software, you can reset the shader cache to fix stuttering after a driver update. Go to Settings, Graphics, and scroll down to Reset Shader Cache. This forces the game to rebuild its visual data, often fixing sudden crash patterns. Ensure your Windows page file is managed by the system on an SSD. Insufficient virtual memory can cause crashes when 16 gigabytes of RAM is fully utilized. We at Teknobalta have verified that these steps solve the majority of 6800XT instability cases. To summarize, cap your FPS, enable VSR for 1440p, and ensure SAM is active. These technical adjustments ensure that your high-end GPU is not being choked by a mid-range CPU. Stable gaming requires a balance between instruction cycles and rendering throughput. Don't forget to follow Teknobalta for more professional hardware solutions and deep dive troubleshooting. See you in the next technical analysis. Stay optimized.